I was going to talk to you about letters and letter forms and envelopes. So if you're writing a letter, you're writing a flat piece of paper. But as you write, you might think, I'm going to have to fold this because envelopes are expensive. And we're going to put this in the post office. So what do?
Oh, I see.
We're going to fold this into an envelope that holds the letter.
It's like
So
an
you'll
air
take
raid.
this and you're going to fold into these sections like that, and you come up with an envelope that is the letter, and you're going to take a wax seal and seal it. Now, it's locked. Those folds have gone together, and it's now locked, and it's also sealed. Now, you don't pay for this postage. The person you send it to that receives it, he's going to pay for the postage. And if he doesn't know who it's from, it's going to the dead letter office because I don't know that person. I'm not paying for that.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, so there is, that kind of history is, kind of unique of their time period. But I was going to talk about the Declaration if you're curious.
But his handwriting is just one man.
Sometimes they would put like
With the Declaration of Independence, he has, as you can see, a much broader nib. So he's probably used a much broader feather to start with to make a quill. And then the rest of it, as you can see, if I hold it here, you may not have seen this before, but this is the actual size, and it would be on parchment. Parchment is the official kind of surface you write on. But if you come closer, if you come over here, what's going on right there?
Is that a mistake?
He did a mistake. He's added the word only. Oh my God, because they're reading this, and the copywriter's going, hey Timmy, you left out a word. It's okay, I'll just, my OCD would go crazy. I would wad it up, throw it away, and start over. But he's gotten this job, he's probably under a deadline. So he got the job on July 19th, here it is August 2nd, and they're going to start writing and signing it. So he's probably working under a deadline. I can't stop now and go back. Also, if you look, he's justified right and left. Trick that I have used before. If you look carefully sometimes, the wording is, the letters are nice and open and formed very nicely. But as he's starting to get over here, he's getting closer to the end. And oh my gosh, I got to fit this in, and I'm going to crunch the letters. Or if he falls short, like up here, new has a big open space, and he didn't get to the end, so I'm going to put a swash. And your eye will read this as being constantly justified. Clever guy. And of course, with the Declaration, there is something as well. We're declaring independence. This is our birth certificate. It's also our divorce paper from England. Now, in the Declaration, we're not just declaring independence. We're doing something else. And they knew that they had to do, if you're going to do independence, we've got to do other things. We're going to establish a government, and we're going to establish trade. So on the bottom of this, down here, they formed a committee, and it says they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances. Who are we looking at for an alliance? France.
Yes.
And they know it. Benjamin Franklin's over there lobbying for money and all kinds of stuff. Powder and gun and weapons and uniforms. So that's, hello, we weren't allowed to do that under England. So now we're our own country. We're going to call the rules and shots now. So the idea that this is just for independence, there was more going on. And they finally got to it, the meat of it, kind of down here. Slavery was part of it, but they couldn't solve that one. The southern states, who were mainly South Carolina and Ed Rutledge, they were saying, if you put that in about slavery, the entire South is going to walk out. And you won't have this word, unanimous. You've seen the movie 1776. There's a good part in there where Franklin is saying to John Adams, you're going to have to back off on this. What is the prize? The prize is independence. We'll have to solve slavery some other time. So the grandsons of these guys will fight the Civil War, which will bring slavery to an end. But don't get wound around the axles on all kinds of things. We want to be independent, and that's what this is really going for. We did, eventually get around to slavery, but it took us a while. They knew they wanted to get rid of it, but in time. They had to be shown a better offer. Benjamin Franklin is supposed to have been more of a indentured servant, only in a different way. His dad was a candleman, a candlemaker, a chandler. And he had like 11 kids. He said, I need help, and you're going to work for me. And Franklin said, no. He goes, fine. You're going to work for your brother who's a printer, and you're going to indenture yourself for 11 years with him. People don't really, there's another form of indentured servitude, and he was that person. But he learned the printing trade, which was big because he printed a lot of stuff, and some of it was propaganda, which worked out well. But he learned to write. He studied very hard, and well into the night, and then next morning he'd be setting type for copy, and just an interesting, hard-working kind of guy. And who gets us that money from France? It's going to be Franklin over there, whining and dining and dealing, and being that really, oh, shucks kind of person that the French go, oh, look, he's just that common guy. He's that American. And they just latch on to him. He was his own best marketing agent. You think, who wrote this again? Who wrote the Declaration? What's the guy's name?
Well, you always learn is Jefferson.
Exactly. Jefferson was the major penman, or not penman, the major writer. There were a committee of 5, but he was kind of like the person that, Adams was off doing things, he was busy. So Jefferson kind of came down to the key man. But look, you'd think Jefferson's name should be up here. It's my document. He's signing 3rd in the Virginians. Very humble. His teacher in college for law office, the first law professor in the colonies, was George Wythe. He also has a nice candy shop in where is the Wythe candy shop. And after that, Richard Henry Lee was very influential, right behind Adams, and he puts his name 3rd in that list. I think that says a lot about Jefferson. So anyway, he signs 3rd. This name here, George Ross. Who knows the word or name Ross from doing what? You do. Somebody makes a flag.
That's it.
There you go. So Betsy's now deceased husband, John, that's his brother. So there was 7 degrees of separation. People kind of know each other.
Yeah.
So George will not vote for independence. He comes in after the voting, but he said, that's why I came here. Give me the pen. He signs his name on. So all these interesting stories, when you see the Declaration, they get lost. But they're so interesting. Let me get to the painting. So John Trumbull is the artist. He has been a soldier. He's been with Washington at Princeton and Concord. Princeton and Trenton. And he's the painter of this. He does a lot of individual portraits, small miniatures, but you've all seen that. And it's John Trumbull. Trumbull is painting 46 men. But wait a minute, 56 are the people who signed. Where are the rest of them? Some of them die without a portrait, without a sketch. He doesn't know what they look like. They don't get painted. So he is painting portraits. I always thought they were made-up faces. No. He followed these guys around for like 20 years or plus, and the painting is like 17 by 12, not big. Now they commission him into the rotunda of the Capitol, and it's 17 feet by 12, and it's life-size kind of stuff. But Trumbull he's the artist. He's also an odd situation. You heard of Nathan Hale. What happened to Nathan Hale?
I believe he got killed.
Did he? Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly.
You don't remember your 5th grade history?
Yeah.
No, he was caught as a spy, and they hanged him.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when he goes to Europe to study under Benjamin West, in England, he resigns his commission, he's over there, they hang somebody else.
Wrong person.
Huh?
Hang the wrong person.
Oh, no, they capture this guy who's stealing information and sketches of West Point, and it's Major Andre. Andre is dressed civilian style. Well, you know, when you caught as a civilian, you're gonna get hanged probably. And Trumbull is in England when that happens. That so enrages the British, they put him in jail. So what was your thinking to go, well, the revolution is raging, you go over there to study art? I don't think so, but, you know, that's the story. And there's a story about how he was captured, Major Andre. He sees what he thinks is a German soldier. It's John Pauling of the three guys who capture him. And he says, mein Kinder, you know, like my countrymen, my friends. And he goes, not your friend. He has stolen this to escape prison. And he's wearing a German uniform. Andre recognizes that his allies are the Germans, and he makes that comment, and he's captured and then hanged as a spy. Well, then that brings around this. John Trumbull is making this painting, and he says, I've got a blank wall, and I need something. What can I fill it with? I got an idea. But this is July 4, 1776. What trophies, which would be captured flags as a trophy, have we done well to capture colors? Lexington and Concord are not considered one of our shining moments. Well, he made them up. We hadn't captured anything yet. However, this is a divorce paper and our birth certificate. We're divorcing the king, saying, we don't want you anymore, and we're also being a new nation being born. So who are we declaring our independence from? England. So as the icon of what happened, it never happened like this, but he wanted that feeling of unanimity, united feeling. This is a committee of 5 that presented, and the flags, of course, of the British. Now, I'm a German reenactor, Revolutionary War, and I recognize something that I never noticed before, and it's this drum. What is the material that has made that drum? What's it look like? It's shiny, so what does that tell you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Germans carry brass drums. They sound like big tin cans, but they're brass. So what's the importance? It says the allies of Britain, which were the Germans, are also represented in this collage, I guess you'd say.
How long did it take you to learn how to do that?
I started when I was 12.
Oh, okay, never mind. It's been a while.
No, I saw the Declaration. My dad was going to take me to Washington, D.C., me and my brother, and we're going to see history. And I thought, oh my God. My eyes rolled back. And they said, we're going to go to a baseball game first on the way. I went, oh, okay. So when I got there, I was more relaxed, and I saw it in the National Archives. There's the Declaration. I had to know how they wrote that. I don't know why, but my dad started that. It was like a time capsule of like you would take for some kind of ailment. It would go off at different times. I would find something and I'd get excited again. Oh, that's how you sharpen a quill. Well, they use iron nibs. What kind of ink is that? How do you make it? So it was a constant learning thing. There was nobody there to tell me. I just kind of stumbled into stuff. And it was like sometimes you hit the blind alley and sometimes you hit the superhighway. The information floods in or it came in drips and drabs. So then, how do you write? And I used that. We bought a large version of the Declaration. I used that as my teaching guide. So I used a good one. I mean, luckily,
Yeah.
and Matlack was the guy
Thank you.
that I looked at. This is all the tools that you would need, but like I said, I have a quiver of all kinds of other quills in the waiting. And some of them, like this
Ooh, that's
peacock feather, nice looking, it's going to be hard to sharpen that. That's why I use the goose quill, because the barrel of it is much broader,
Yeah.
and I can obviously see it easier, but yeah, that's kind of classy looking, but like a lot of things are classy looking, they're unusual. So, but I keep that around to show the size. So I would probably sharpen some with a broad nib and some, like this one, with a much finer point. That used to hold,
That's your last name?
yes, that used to hold spaghetti. But I thought, that's gonna make a good quiver for all my quills. So, yeah, I just dumped it. I don't even think I ate the spaghetti, but and I brushed letters. So that is a continuation of what I do. And I would probably be a sign painter as well. So I sketched my hand, and it says penman, but if you couldn't read it, then you could tell, oh, there's a visual, he must be a penman by that illustration. So
Yeah.
there's a double kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm dressed a little more successfully to show that I'm good at it.